In three, two, and one. I get a chance to talk to this guy on a regular basis, but now, ha 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 ha, he's in the hot seat this morning. Okay, really. Now, okay, the seat is, let's just face it, it's a regular seat. Alton Trahan, you know him as the public information officer with the Lafayette Fire Department. Well, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for doing this. This is going to be, I think, really fun. Yeah, you looking
Yes.
nervous now, aren't you?
I'm kind of
Yeah.
squinching one eye at you.
Okay. So we were talking before we got started because I was thinking back the entire time most of the time that I've been here at KPEL, you have been the public information officer for the Lafayette Fire Department. And so let's give everybody an idea. Okay, how long have you been PIO?
20 years.
20 years you've been the public
Yes.
information officer.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody knows you. We know you're going to
Yep.
be out on a fire scene, give us information. Now, how long have you been a firefighter and with Lafayette Fire Department?
I've been on 29 years.
29 years.
Yes.
No kidding.
It's been that long.
Okay. Alden, you got to tell me, in all of those years, it's got to be incredibly difficult but rewarding because, when we get these situations, and for some people, I mean, this stuff happens every day, but it doesn't necessarily make the news when a fire destroys something, even a
Correct.
bedroom.
Correct.
So some of the cases end up being more highlighted than others. Some of them don't, right? I mean, that
Right.
happens.
Right. Depending on the magnitude of the fire or would
Mhm.
get someone's interest.
Yeah. And it'll kind of pique the interest of us in the media.
Correct.
And so you'll see people just do this outpouring of love.
Yes, I've seen it over the course of the years. I've been investigating for 23 years.
My goodness.
So my first 6 years were fighting fires, driving the truck, and then
Mhm.
I moved into investigations. And then 3 years into that, I started became the first PIO because we really didn't have a spokesman for the fire department,
Mhm.
and kind of spoke with Chief Benoit, and he said, "Guess what? You're it."
I love that.
So I've been the one since then.
Okay, but that's a great thing.
Yes.
So, what are your duties and jobs that are kind of fall under the investigative portion of what you do?
So I assist in it. We have an investigative team
Mm-hmm.
that deal with urgent and cause investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So we all trained. We commissioned officers as well,
Mm-hmm.
but we trained through Fire Science and National Fire Academy to really learn everything about how and pretty much where the fire started
Mm-hmm.
and how it started. So it kind of helps us get to the cause of what everyone's looking for.
How do y'all? Okay, I get it. I mean,
Mhm.
like you go to these schools and you keep looking and learning, but for the average person, it's almost like magic.
Sometimes, but it's fire is very phenomenal. But there's fire chemistry, and
Okay,
fire has certain behaviors. But there's a
really?
lot of elements
Okay.
that deals with it. There's ventilation issues, there are obstruction issues, and it depends on what's burning, the contents of someone's home or vehicle. So through the classes and all the learning experience we go through, we kind of pick up on these things and learn the fire itself, the nature of fire.
So almost like it has its own personality.
It does. It really does. And each fire can be very distinctively different because everything is arranged differently. Ventilation aids a lot of it, like windows or doors, depending
Hmm.
on how it's open or not, and what's burning,
I
and how
don't
it
know if
started.
I don't think I thought about it that way. And I think most people, if they don't experience that,
Mm.
maybe they don't.
And they don't, because fire is like I said, very dynamic. But there's a science to the investigation part.
Hmm.
And fire itself, obviously, we know from studying fire and fire behavior, fire chemistry, the extreme application that the firefighters do, the time frame upon which it burns, all that comes into play whenever we make a determination on where it started and how it started.
So what happens in a fire with the kind of okay, I think of like a sheet of paper or a notebook.
Hmm.
That's kind of the way I think about it because oh my God, there by the grace of God go I. I have not had to deal with a fire in my car, thankfully, or my home.
Right.
But I think about it in terms of that, a sheet of paper catching on fire or something in my kitchen. Alton and I joke about that a lot, catching fire. So I think about it that way.
Hmm.
And I don't think about the chemistry behind it, oxygen.
So
The possible things that will catch on fire faster.
so fire needs three things. It needs
Okay.
a heat source,
Okay.
it needs oxygen, and it
Mhm.
needs a fuel. So
Okay.
obviously, on the preventive side, we
Mhm.
can't eliminate the oxygen.
Mhm.
So we try to help individuals eliminate the heat source,
Mhm.
like your burner on your stove, or the fuel, the grease in your pot.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can eliminate either one of those, you won't have a fire, or you can put
Mhm.
out the fire, right?
Mhm.
So in all that, understanding fire behavior, fire chemistry, and what comes together to create a fire, then we can actually do the investigation. Even though it gets harder the more damage to a home
Oh,
or
yeah,
to a
bet.
property. Obviously, if it burns down to the ground, it's very
Mhm.
difficult. So then you rely on a lot of witness information or any issues someone may have in their home.
Mhm.
So it's not easy by no chance.
Mhm.
It's very difficult because fire destroys.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it
know,
just it
it does. It just
consumes
destroys.
everything.
Yes. So it's
So,
difficult.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about the people, think of fires. Okay, so a fire starts, firefighters come out and they turn water on and that's it, right? That's how the average person
Correct.
like myself thinks about it. So much more complicated than that.
Very complicated. Than that, once we get on the scene, of course, we have different stream applications.
Mhm.
There's a certain amount of gallons per minute that's coming out the hose,
Mhm.
and which size hose we're using, and what type of attack we're going to use. Because not everything is just plain, simple. So you have to devise all that going into it.
Mhm.
So that's the training part of the
Mhm.
firefighting part, and then the learning and through experience.
Mhm.
As they fight more fires when they're younger, they get to use and understand the different stream applications.
Okay.
Because we have a straight stream, we have a fog stream, but the nozzle we use breaks the water into particles. But
Okay.
if you could put into a fog,
Mhm.
you can quickly advance and extinguish a fire because you can do a steam conversion.
Okay.
So all that multiplies, and then the water kind of creates into steams and suppresses the fire versus just a straight stream.
Fascinating.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
It's all about technique and how to
Mhm.
extinguish a fire.
Okay, Alton Trahan is joining us. He is the Public Information Officer for the Lafayette Fire Department, obviously an investigator as well. You and I have talked so many times over the years, but I don't know if I've ever been able to ask you this question. So I'm so excited. Okay, when I was a kid, like every kid I knew either wanted to grow up and be Barbie, or they wanted to grow up and be a policeman, or they wanted to grow up and be a firefighter. So I'm dying to know.
Mhm.
When you were a little kid, what did you wanna be? Do you, like, remember?
Now I don't quite remember. I grew up in the rural area,
Mhm.
so it was more for me being in the country.
Oh, I love
So
that.
we were really, I grew up with three other brothers, and my sister came later,
Mhm.
but it was out in the remote areas. Grew up towards Youngsville area, so we was in the
Mhm.
country area. So we did farming. My
Mhm.
dad. We had some animals.
Mhm.
So I don't think I wanted to be a farmer or nothing like that.
Right.
But I don't know. I didn't really have that experience to go out and go to look at the police officer or the firefighter at that time because we were
Mhm.
out in the rural areas. But
Mhm.
I guess as I got older, I started thinking what it is I wanted to do. Initially, I was definitely going to college.
Mhm.
So I did go to
Mhm.
UL. And somehow along the way, my interest became in the government for sure. And I
Okay.
was eventually supposed to go to law school. Friend of mine got, I guess he and I talked about the fire department.
Mhm.
So he kind of recruited me, get me on the fire department
Wow.
because I knew I could still go to school because they work shift work.
Obviously. Okay, yes, that makes
So
perfect
yeah,
sense.
perfect sense. So I said, well, I can do both because my mom wasn't going to have it. She
Mhm.
was like, you're going to finish college. Cool.
That's what all mothers
That's
say,
all
right?
mothers say, right? So did that, and I was fortunately able to do both. And
How
then it became a
incredible.
career.
And then yeah, and obviously you love it.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
do.
you'd have to love it because of all the insides and outsides,
Hmm.
because you've got two worlds. You've got the world of fire, right? And then you've got the other world of handling the crazy people in the media and the public. Oh, wait, I didn't say that about the public, did I? No, but I
No, not
mean,
the public.
it's it, that's a lot to kind of juggle back and forth.
It is a lot, and but I've been able to manage it in
Hmm.
addition to helping the fire chief with some administrative functions because we make a lot of presentations to the administration or to the council. So I help
Hmm.
him out like that. Being a PIO, you have to know the fire department. You have to know the ins and out of it in government itself. So It's afforded me some opportunities, to learn government, but I've studied government. I have my master's in public administration.
Okay, see, I did not know that
Yes.
was your and a master's no less.
Yes, yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that right there just kind of opened it up some more to me, kind
Well,
of
I
a better
guess
understanding.
so.
Yep.
Okay, so interesting. So, have you ever thought to yourself, okay, well, I'm almost to 30 years of being a firefighter. Like, what is my second career? Now everybody has a second career. Look, I'm
Yes.
still struggling with my first career, and I'm like, wait, now I got to think about something in the future too. But have you
hmm
thought about something
Oh,
like that?
absolutely, absolutely. It's always in the back of the mind, planning to try to figure out, okay, what's next? Because right, I won't be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is hopefully get into the PhD program
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because I figure I got probably about 3 to 4 more years left, unless an opportunity comes to become the fire chief. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, I plan on getting the PhD program. I like to teach
You would
at a
be a great
college level,
teacher.
though.
Yeah, yeah, at a
I'm
college
not going.
level.
I'm not going to grade school though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can understand that. I took one class, like I have my degree in broadcast
hmm
journalism, and then I went back and I took this one class, which I loved the class. But then I thought, wait a minute, I can barely do all the things that I have to do every day.
Yeah.
How am I going to do that for little people? So, yeah,
But I
I
thought
can
about it.
understand that.
I have two sister-in-laws that are in education. I've always
hmm
teased them. I say, you know what? I'm gonna go be a kindergarten teacher. Yes, I don't know.
Those would be the best kids
I
ever
believe so.
prepared
Yep.
for the fire drill
Yep.
day. Alton Trahan joining us this morning on Up Close, and we have more to come.